Welcome back into the film room. I'm your host, Eric Turner. Today, I'm also joined by Nate Geary. What's going on, Nate?
Nothing much, man. Getting excited to break down this Lions-Bills matchup. Obviously, a Bills win. And more importantly, our first fourth quarter comeback in the books for rookie Josh Allen. So a great game, a great situation here to break down some film.
Yeah, it was good all around in my eyes. You know, Allen obviously had a good game from the pocket. They relied on his arm rather than just his legs. They got the, late comeback win for the young player. And I know there was a lot of gripes about draft position, draft slot. What's your thoughts on that, man? I could care less. I'd rather get the game situation and, that comeback victory and just a team win for the morale for guys that are busting their ass every week.
This isn't the Giants. It's not a team that needs a quarterback where losing draft position every week would really, really bother me. They've got their quarterback secured right now, at least for the near future. I don't really care at all where they draft in this upcoming draft. To be quite honest with you, teams that are drafting offense really might be better off in that 9 to 16 range anyways in this draft. I think the first, other than maybe an overdrafted quarterback, a Justin Herbert or a Dwayne Haskins, goes higher than they probably should because, of course, of the quarterback position. There's a really good chance the first 7 or 8 picks, excluding one for a quarterback, might all be defensive players. So being in that 9 to 16 sweet spot, right where they're probably going to end up, I think is going to be really ideal for folks looking to take the top available offensive player.
No doubt. You make some great points on that in regards to the draft. But we're going to go ahead and jump into the film now. We're going to go to the end of the first quarter. The Bills are faced with a 3rd and 2 situation here with 3:03 on the clock. And, one thing I have noticed over the last few weeks since Allen has come back, Nate, is their dedication to not just the passing game and making him the number one threat of the offense, but their dedication and commitment to almost air raid concepts. Here's a basic air raid concept known as all curls, and it's something that we cover every week here at Cover One. And we see it typically known as a spacing concept where you'll see the condensed formation here, Allen give an alert, but then when the ball is snapped, you're going to see all of these routes kind of widen out and spread the defense horizontally, and they're just trying to get the first down here. So we see the all curls / spacing return concept here, and it's completed to Robert Foster to the top of the screen. Now, what do you like about these concepts, Nate?
Well, what I like about them is it gives him an opportunity to read the field right in front of him in this case, right? Yeah. Like it very much identifies, especially if you look, the red jerseys are a nice help here, right? In terms of breaking this film down. But what's important, I think, is maybe the most important thing to talk about on this play. And these sorts of concepts, ball placement is a huge thing. And not only ball placement, but understanding leverages and where guys might come open. And I think he does a really good job here. And as you mentioned, you see the alert off quickly. But identifying maybe the best player or the player who has the most leverage on the play. And you can see just based off this that he's got him up to the outside. He's going to have a nice opportunity because he has the leverage on this play. He identifies it quickly. And with his arm strength, he doesn't need to be he doesn't need to have perfect mechanics on this play because he's not really facing or aimed at his wide receiver, but he's got the arm talent to sort of overcome that. And on this, again, I think you talk about ball placement as being a really big key to success on these types of plays. Look what the ball placement is. It's perfect. It's on the numbers. It allows him to potentially turn around and make a play, but more importantly, fall forward for a first down.
Yeah, I like what you said there. Everything's in front of him on this 3rd down. I think the alert call was probably one of the first times this year that Allen alerted or checked to an actual pass. This is a 3rd and short situation, possibly a run called here. And instead, he alerts and checks it to a pass. And, he does a good job, as you said, diagnosing the coverage and doing it quickly because he's looking front side initially. And who he's reading is this linebacker right here. He wants to know if that linebacker is going to flow outside with this running back running the flats route. And he does exactly that. So right now, I would say Foster really doesn't have the leverage. So he takes a quick peek at the backside to Zay Jones over here, and he's covered. There's no way he's throwing it to him. Well, the route combination that Foster is running, the route to the right side of the screen, is a spacing concept. It's a curl, but once it's later in the play, he can convert that to a return route, which is why you see him kind of pivot back outside and uncover. And that's just money. That's just great route running and knowledge of the scheme by Foster and where he is in relation to Allen. and in the play and coverage. So really nice read by Foster. Allen's, mechanics probably aren't the best here, but he initially had set up looking that way, took a quick peek to the backside, and guess what? I can still make that throw into the short area to Robert Foster for the first down. So good conversion in my eyes.
Yeah, great conversion. And you're totally right about the leverage. And looking at this play as he sort of stems it back. And it really he really opens himself up on this route. It's a really nice understanding of what the defender's trying to do to you on a one-on-one matchup. And like you talked about with the mechanics, they're not super pretty on this play. Really, ideally, you'd like to see his lower body, match up with where his arm angle's coming from. But this is a player that, there are a couple players in this league, Patrick Mahomes and him being two that really kind of come into mind, that don't need to have perfect lower body mechanics because their arm strength makes up for it. In this case, it's a very accurately thrown ball, so there's not a lot of negative you can talk about on this play. It's simple, but these are the sorts of plays that I think you didn't see a lot on film in college, where he's got a full view of the field, where he's basically going through his progressions. This isn't a half cut or a half field read, right? Like this is a situation where he's got curl routes coming up, and obviously he's got the running back and the tight end going out to the flats on each individual side. And I just think he does a really nice job of diagnosing, again, where the leverage is on this play, getting the ball out on time and quickly, and look where he is. I mean, look where the throw comes from. It comes directly inside the pocket. He's not drifting. He's not backpedaling. He's not, scrambling on this play. Everything that you want to see from him as a pocket passer, you really get to see on this play.
Yep, he looked comfortable in the pocket, made his reads correctly. He had his eyes in the right spots. He even had time to look backside and then back to the front side and completes it to Foster. So with that, we're going to move on to the next play in our series here. All right, our next play is a 2nd and 14 play towards the end of the first quarter, Nate, and it's a similar play concept. You're going to see that spacing concept, but it's going to be run a little deeper, and it's something that they have run the last few weeks against the Jets, against the Finns, and it's been defended, pretty badly, honestly. A lot of the times they were hitting this deep hitch or deep comeback route here, right on the numbers, right on a landmark at the 40-yard line. But the Detroit Lions obviously did their film study, and they took that away with a coverage known as box coverage. And I'm going to break it down real quick to you right here. So basically they're matching the coverage. It's a 4-on-3 coverage. You have 4 defenders here on 3 wide receivers. And this defender right here has any first out route that shows. This defender has the first in route that shows. This defender has a second in route that shows. And then the corner is going to have the second out route that shows. And to the top of the screen, that's where Allen has, primarily thrown the ball this year. But if you look at the play here, they do a good job of taking away this deep comeback route. This is where Allen typically has gone. We saw it to Deonte Thompson against the Finns. We saw it to Zay Jones, the one he dropped last week. It hit him in the numbers. Same exact play here. But the play is not here. And so what Allen does is he reads front side. He's looking this way and seeing what that coverage is, and realizing, hey, it's taken away. So now I'm going to go to the 2-man route to the bottom of the screen, Nate. And real quickly, the routes down here is just a deep comeback by Zay Jones here, and then a flats route by Marcus Murphy. But the coverage down there is called cone coverage. So basically, this linebacker is going to have Marcus Murphy out of the backfield. And you see as Murphy motions out to the flats there, he's going to take him. So the number 1 wide receiver, Zay Jones, to the bottom of the screen, he releases inside, so the corner takes outside leverage. And because he released inside, the safety back here is technically bracketing Zay Jones here. But because Josh Allen is looking front side to that trip side, you'll watch this safety here. Watch his movement, because he's reading Allen's eyes, and he kind of peeks to his left a little bit too much and moves just enough for a tight throw for Josh Allen. So, Nate, what are your thoughts on this play overall? How it was defended? How Josh Allen adjusted to this play?
Well, what you love to see about this is obviously defensive coordinators, defenses, hey, they're paid to stop offenses too, right? Like this isn't, obviously it's an offensive league, but they're paid to stop offenses across the league. So they did their homework. They understood what the Bills were trying to do. They probably have seen this play a few times on film, thinking, okay, this is going field side. And you can see as the defenders, it's 4-on-3 in that situation, right? You mentioned the box. coverage to the field side. That is pretty well taken care of. That is a really difficult throw if he wants to squeeze it in there. And I'm happy that he didn't, right? Like, he was able to recognize that immediately he needed to go backside. What you see out here against this defense, too, is there isn't a ton of great discipline by these defenders. There is some space here. This is really a 3-on-1 situation, or it should be in kit fact, but I think this linebacker recognizes it a little too late.
Right.
That linebacker right there just sort of recognizes it a little too late, and he's unable to sort of recover back towards
get into the passing lane. Yeah,
correct. But what you love about Josh Allen here is recognizing it. More importantly, watch the timing of this throw. The ball is out of his hands as Zay Jones makes his break. This right here, this is advanced stuff. This is not, in terms of throwing nuance, this is advanced stuff here. This isn't, this isn't English 101. This is advanced statistics right here. Yep. Not only that, but you look at the ball placement inside this very small window, and you mentioned that linebacker is probably 2 steps away from being a threat in the passing lane.
Yep.
But I just love Josh Allen's confidence here. But more importantly, and this is something we just didn't talk about a lot, Eric, it's ball placement. It's money ball placement. It's giving his wide receiver an opportunity to catch the ball, but more importantly, protect himself with 3 defenders immediately around him.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And, we'll see it from the tight camera angle because initially you'll see that what that movement by the running back does. Again, Dave will help
the whole play up.
Opens up right up. And that also tells him the coverage. And, this is a common coverage on the backside of a trips formation or the backside of a 3-by-1 formation. And so he's looking front side now. Now with that movement from that linebacker, he's thinking that the linebacker has Marcus Murphy and man coverage, which he sort of does there. So he looks front side, and there's nothing there. So what does he do? He finds a safety right here. Look, you see that safety. He sees that the safety has moved just a little bit off his landmark. And so, like you said, he just fires it in there into like the only spot he really could.
Right.
Low and outside, protecting Zay Jones. And Zay Jones, for as much as he struggled last couple of weeks, it's a good job of securing that catch and helping his quarterback.
Yeah, this is a play right here. I think you could take this screenshot right here. And if you were to just take away the team and take away the colors and take away the quarterback, if you would have looked at this coming into the year or midway through the season, and you would have told me that this was a completed pass from Josh Allen, I think most people would say no way, right? Because this is just something that he has struggled so much with. This is right here the perfect example of why Josh Allen wasn't ready to play in the NFL, was ball placement, was plays like this where you've got 3 defenders immediately surrounding. There is one place you could put this football to complete it, and Josh Allen puts it on the money. This is a Baker Mayfield type throw. This is a big time throw, man. You just can't. I know it's simple. But again, this is going from play side to backside, understanding the leverage of the defenders and putting the ball in the only places his offensive player can make the catch and also protect himself. That's the next big thing here. He didn't leave his wide receiver out to dry to take a clean cut shot, That's just stuff that, again, is part of his progression here, that he's really taking the next step as a passer that I could just tell you, someone that was very critical of these types of plays that Allen just simply wasn't showing on much film in college. He also wasn't given this opportunity, and I think it's important to note that now he's getting opportunities to play to his strengths where maybe he wasn't doing that in college.
No doubt about it. I love the points you made on, reading from the front side, the back side, because you have to trust your eyes. You have to trust that what you saw pre to post snap is correct. He diagnoses it perfectly post snap. He realizes what the motion from the running back did to the backside coverage and knows that he has a window to throw it to Zay Jones. And then his God-given ability to just get it there and get it there quickly from that near hash. It's just it's a really nice play, and a play obviously that a lot of naysayers aren't really going to when it comes to Josh Allen, because it proves a lot of their narratives and theories wrong here. And that's what that's one thing I dislike about draft Twitter and Twitter altogether, social media, and a lot of these online scouts, is that they're not looking at the nuts and bolts of these plays or on a play-to-play basis, that this player is doing some things that he didn't do in college. He's doing some things that he didn't do at the beginning of the year. To me, that's improvement. This is essentially a full field read, which not many plays are full field reads, and not many quarterbacks in the league do full field reads, maybe 4 or 5 tops. But this is a play where he actually showed that ability of reading front side to back side, reading the entire field, and making that defense defend the entire field. It's something that we're going to talk about a lot in this breakdown. So with that said, we're going to go ahead and move on to the next play of the series. All right, the next play we're going to talk about is in the second quarter, 9:42 on the clock. And the Bills are running, the infamous mesh concept, as we see here from the air raid offense. But instead of having that rub or mesh concept underneath in that 4 to 5 yard range, Nate, obviously the Bills adjust those routes for Josh Allen, who obviously lives in the intermediate to deep area. So they run a little play action mesh concept here. It's down the field, man. It's down. Foster's route is near the 40-yard line where that mesh is going to occur between him and the other receiver. But I like how he builds in the mesh. So he's got a little man beater concept there. But he also has a cover 3 beater, which you see a single high set here. He's got a cover 3 beater to the bottom of the screen, a 3-level concept there. So it's a really good combination of dual concept beaters, whether it be cover 2 versus cover 3, single high versus 2 high. This is another example of that. And I want you to talk about Allen's favorite target, Robert Foster, his development, and how defenses are now starting to defend him and Josh Allen together.
Listen, the numbers do a lot of talking, right? I mean, 3 100-yard games out of his last 4, and basically you could sprinkle a 4 out of 5 because he ended up with like 97, 98 yards in another game. I think what's more impressive about the numbers, Eric, is the respect that defenses are now showing Robert Foster. I think that says more than any stat can really provide, and you're seeing on this play with the bracketed coverage over the top. They absolutely respect the dynamic ability of Robert Foster, and maybe even more impressive in terms of the Bills' point of view here is they respect the connection between both Josh Allen and Robert Foster. They understand that this quarterback has the ability to get Robert Foster really anywhere on the field that he wants him, as long as he can find a little bit of space. But I think that's got to be really good. And you have to feel really good about that if you're a Bills fan, if you're Brian Daboll, that you're starting to get the respect from defensive coordinators and game plans that you really weren't getting at the beginning of the year. And it really allows teams to tee off on a team as a whole, right? Like if they're not focused in on one guy, they can really spread the wealth with all 11 players. This turns in a bit. Now, not exactly, but I mean, this turns into a bit of a situation where you're going 11 on 10, and that's the sort of difference that teams with dynamic wide receivers or a wide receiver 1 can really game plan around, a defense in this situation where he's got to play over the top. He's scared, to be quite frankly, he's scared shitless on this play.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Single high set, and you got both these receivers that are coming from a condensed set. They're coming right at him. Their eyes are right on this deep safety here, and he's all alone on an island. So he doesn't know whether those receivers are going to break to the top of the screen or to the bottom of the screen. And having Allen back there, nice deep pocket. If you look back there, he's got a really nice deep pocket. You can see the field beautifully. I mean, you have to defend the whole field, not just vertically though, right, Nate? Obviously, you have to defend it to the sidelines too. And this is one thing where, this safety chooses incorrectly, and you got Robert Foster on a mesh concept coming across the field, and he's running away from that safety that was there to bracket him.
What I love about this too, and moving to Josh Allen on this play, again, is the timing of the ball, but understanding this is the second scenario where you see Josh Allen understanding the leverage against, and I think this is what it's coming down to, Eric, is that I think every play now he's starting by looking Robert Foster's way. Yeah. And he starts a play and he understands on a given play, this is the mismatch. This is the leverage play I want. He's got outside leverage. He understands that this route's coming across the middle of the field. And as long as he stems him vertically enough, he should be able to push away without offensive pass interference on this play. And he does. He doesn't even touch the defender, but once he breaks for that dig, the defender really doesn't have a chance because he's already at full speed moving vertically down the seam. So now he's got to regather. Now he's 2-3 steps away from Robert Foster, and that's all it takes. Josh Allen, this is an easy elementary throw for an intermediate throw. Usually you don't see this type of play that much open, but that mesh concept really opens it, really conflicts the defender on this play. I think Allen does a great job of identifying the leverage and making an accurate throw and giving his player an opportunity. Now, it's a little bit low, right? It's not perfect throw, but you're talking about, a 25, 30 yard throw down the middle of the field. So this isn't an easy throw by any means, but it sure as hell does look easy.
Yeah, and you talk about leverage a lot here, and it's so important, especially when you're incorporating these air raid concepts, because that's what they're taught. These receivers are taught to run away from coverage. Robert Foster's running away from that corner there, and because it's a single high set, these two routes that are crossing, they become flatter. They run them flatter because almost like a single high set, and whether a guy's going to run a post versus a dig, they're adjusting those routes, running them flat because they have a single high safety look. So he runs a little flat to the 45-yard line, and Allen hits him in stride. He's just running away from coverage, understanding leverage, and you see the play action fake here, and the pocket, the sight lines. Look at the separation down here from Foster on, I believe the corner there. So it's just a good job of running away from guys when defenses want to play man coverage, and Allen just hitting that moving target, moving from his left to his right, which is not something he's been really, really good at, but he has accuracy, enough accuracy here to hit the play and give Robert Foster a chance to pick up a few yards after the catch.
Yeah, and that's the key, and that's just something we haven't seen the last few years. Are plays like this, having an accurate enough ball, more importantly, an accurate enough ball that's thrown on time. He waits another second. Robert Foster's probably not moving this upfield, right? Like, he gets the ball to him early enough in his route progression. It gives him an opportunity to make the catch and turn upfield. And when you're talking about the Isaiah McKenzies, when you're talking about the Robert Fosters, these guys need to get the ball with space. Their yak ability is so much higher than receivers of this team's past, where as soon as you get them the ball, they become even more dangerous weapons with the ball in their hand. And Josh Allen does a great job of recognizing it and knowing that. And I just love the chemistry you're seeing between these two players. And even to a certain extent, Isaiah McKenzie too. Isaiah McKenzie comes out and starts with like 3 of the first 5 targets of the game. Yeah. And this is a guy that they took off of another team's practice squad, and he's been able to really gain a nice rapport with 2 players that and listen, you go back to hard work. Robert Foster was the one guy that stayed here during the bye week, and it's showing the chemistry between these two and the extra work that they've been putting in.
No doubt about it. And a lot of people will say, well, he's not really reading anything here. It's a play action pass. That's false. Okay, whether it's man or cover 3 with that single high safety look, you see after that play fake, his first read is actually this, it used to be called an alert call where, if he got a certain look, this would be the guy deep that they're going to throw to. It's a double move by, I think that's Thompson there. But he's looking there. He's obviously getting a sight picture on what that corner is going to do, how he's reacting to it. And then you'll see it's not there. So now he's looking down the middle of the field. How is this corner playing Zay Jones here on this deep crossing route? He's obviously tight in his back pocket. He's showing man posture. That guy's going to trail with him. Well, then guess what? Here comes my third option, right into my sight line, right into my view, and he's able to drill that pass down the field. Again, air raid type concepts being used down the field by Dable. I think it's just a beautiful combination of, old school mesh concepts with the vertical passing game incorporated by that man right there, Brian Dable. All right, on to the red zone, Nate. It's a play that Allen actually use his legs to score and put the Bills up here in the second quarter, halfway through the second quarter. It's 2nd and 3 inside the 5, obviously. And they motion Keith Ford into the backfield into a 2-by-2 set. And the route combination, to me, Nate, looks like they're trying to get the ball to Zay Jones to the back corner of the end zone on a high-low here. But as we'll see when I run it, it looks like the corner kind of gets away with some holding here, and he doesn't let Zay break as hard as he wants back to the corner. So that's kind of taken away, right? And you can see Allen's eyes looking that way. So that combination to the left side of the field there is taken away. Typically, your number 3 is going to be coming into your sight line right there as that deep over out. But they're all covered, right, Nate? Everyone on this play is covered by someone. So you're going to see just Allen break the pocket. Now talk about this defense, Nate, and look how they are petrified of Josh Allen as a runner.
First and foremost, I love in red zone situations, especially when you're uptight, 2 high-low concepts, which you show on this play with the number 3 running sort of a modified post route. Yep. Just basically modified in being you're in tight quarters. It's not a true post route, but you're right. This defense, all eyes on Josh Allen. Now, you mentioned the hold. I think on a few plays, really almost every play we've shown so far, it really sort of appeared like Zay Jones has just been held all day by Darius Slay.
They're getting physical with him, definitely.
They are certainly getting physical with Zay. The referees had let that go most of the day. On this play, I thought he got held at the top of his route, but he, as we were just talking about before this, is he does need to be a little bit more physical on these routes to be able to rip through defenders, because this is the NFL. You're going to see that, especially in the red zone when the quarters get tighter. But What I love about this play is Josh Allen wants to be a passer in this situation.
Right.
If you look right now, I think there are 5 immediate defenders at or around the goal line that are all, quote, spying Josh Allen on this play. I'm not even kidding. There are 5 defenders, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 defenders, all staring at Josh Allen, all petrified. You could even add a 6 with the other guy.
Yeah, right over here.
All 6 defenders. They have one guy right now that's designated as, quote, their pass rusher. The rest are, don't let Josh Allen get past your face. They have a free rushing defender running at Josh Allen, and nothing works. So it just goes to show you that you have the ultimate X factor when you're talking about red zone efficiency. They have what maybe 1 or 2 other teams in this league have. I'm thinking of Deshaun Watson, and I'm thinking of Cam Newton. Guys that when things break down, and even on this is the type of play that you want from your quarterback that maybe opens up a guy, maybe Isaiah McKenzie, or opens up another player because the on-schedule portion of this play just wasn't open. Could he become a passer and remain a passer in this situation? Maybe. But you know what? Josh Allen is 6'5", 240 pounds. Give him on a one-on-one running matchup from the 5-yard line against a lot of corner and defensive back defenders in this league. And good luck coming from the hash to the sidelines as a linebacker or a defensive end trying to cover this. It's almost impossible, but it really, again, goes to show you teams really are petrified of his running ability, and it is showing on a week-to-week basis.
You know, when scouts talked about him coming out, they talked about how special he is. This is one of those plays. You mentioned Cam Newton, Deshaun Watson. The play is defended perfectly like it is here. You want your player to be able to play above the scheme. You want him to make a play, right? Well, obviously he can do it whether with his legs like he does here or with his arm talent, his arm strength. Here he uses his legs, gives a nice pump fake, and then just runs for the end zone. And I highlighted McKenzie because I want to give him props in the scramble drill. He comes back and gets a piece of this defender to kind of help Josh Allen get the corner there and get into the end zone. So I want to give him a little props there. But again, playing above the scheme, you want players to be able to do that. You know, we talked about McCoy in his day, and you see Dawkins just off somebody.
Yes, I did.
Yeah, there he is. He flashed across the screen when I saw that. But you want your guys to be able to play above the scheme, and Josh Allen, with several guys with eyes on him, he was still able to break contain with a little pump fake right there, and then the speed to get to the corner there, man. I mean, that's special stuff, and why he was drafted, right? And
I want to point out Gerard Davis, the linebacker number 40 there, right? I think that's who it is.
Yep.
He's no slouch, like in terms of speed and athleticism at the linebacker position. He's not the biggest linebacker in the league, but what he lacks in size, he's making up for in athleticism, and he straight up fools him and outruns him. That's just impressive just from that angle alone, and knowing who the defender is on that play. So again, I think it just goes into one of the more impressive things about this offense and about Josh Allen is the growth that you're seeing him as a passer. And now on a week-to-week basis, you're seeing him use it as a last resort instead of the first resort on this play. I think he also gets pretty good protection here, but they're rushing 3. Yeah. Again, I just don't understand why teams in this situation would rush 3 against Josh Allen. You want to, if it was me defending, you want to get to him and make him make a quick read instead of giving him all the time in the world to diagnose that he can't throw the ball and allow him to see where the running lanes open up.
Especially with his arm, right? I mean, if you had him stand back there, I think they had he stood in the pocket 3.45 seconds this game, Nate. Obviously the longest I've seen all season from any quarterback. So they had him standing back there. Well, guess what? Regardless if you're in the red zone or if you're, at your own 20, the guy obviously has the arm talent to throw it 80 yards. So you're having your defense cover for, 8 seconds. I mean, it's crazy. He can extend the play with his legs, which he does here. So it's a conundrum playing a defense against this guy. There's no doubt about it. All right, now we're moving on to the third quarter, Nate. It's 5:40 on the clock, 2nd and 10 situation, and the Bills come out and they run another similar air raid concept. It's referred to as 67 corner, post corner shakes in quotes. But that combination you're gonna see to the top of the screen with Robert Foster, and this is one where Allen hits him deep here, but he doesn't start off as the primary receiver, Robert Foster there. So to the bottom of the screen, you're going to have basically, that's what's great about this playbook so far with Dable. He has a cover 2 and cover 3 beaters built into this. So if it's cover 3, they're going to run that little spacing concept to the bottom of the screen. If it's cover 2, you got that high low of the corner to the top of the screen. And if it was two safety look, it's going to put Robert Foster on a deep corner out versus a safety. I mean, it's a win-win in this situation. Now, it does turn to man coverage. Allen looks to the bottom, and he's trying to work that concept to the bottom, but then he realizes it's man coverage. He's got nothing there. He's looking to the numbers again on that spacing concept. That's covered tight. So now he hits the top of his drop, and his eyes shift to the top of the screen, right, Nate? And now he's got Robert Foster with a corner in trail and a safety that was shaded over to his side that is, has nowhere to go here. Robert Foster's running away from that safety again, and Allen is on point with his eyes, with his feet, and a touch throw from Allen to the far sideline and Robert Foster.
I mean, I really would hate to be this safety in film study, because the first question you're being asked by Matt Patricia is, you're in perfect position.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to say they read this play. I don't think they knew it was coming at them. But
no. That
safety is in perfect position to be the over-the-top defender on a player that you're worried about getting over the top. This is just, what I think you're seeing here is some eye discipline from Josh Allen and manipulation and holding that safety in a position long enough by looking to the right and keeping him on the hash, that all it takes is a split second of looking to the right, and he recognizes it, gets to the backside. He doesn't hesitate. He gets rid of the football again. Look where the ball is coming from, inside the pocket. He's not drifting. Yep. I think this was a very nice step forward game for this offensive line in terms of pass pro and allowing their quarterback to get the opportunity to play from the pocket. And if you want to keep rushing 3 and 4, and then obviously they dropped in their quarterback spy, and it's basically one-on-one coverage with a deep high safety. Yep. And this right here, again, leverage for Robert Foster. Robert Foster's got this guy on his back shoulder. He puts one inside move on this guy, and see you later. He's got wide open space to the sideline in front of him. And what I love about Allen, again, on this play is leading him to the sideline and giving him an opportunity to make this catch and just simply get out of bounds.
Yeah, and it was a nice, touch on the throw here. A little kudos to Robert Foster because he takes an inside stem here. And what he's trying to do is, everyone's seen it on film. The Bills love to run these deep over routes, right? So this safety probably stays put, not just because of eye discipline and where Allen's eyes are, but from what he's seen on film, right? So now Foster is using his eyes to sell that in-breaking route that's coming. So this corner that's in his hip pocket, you see him try to go to his back hip here. Why? Because he thinks that Foster is going across the middle here. I mean, that is nuanced route running by Robert Foster, and he's come a long way from the beginning of the season as well. So he dips out to the corner here, and he's wide open, away from that safety, away from that corner, and hit in stride from Josh Allen. Now he kind of double catches it, but I'm sure maybe he's probably not used to Allen throwing with that kind of touch. Obviously with that deep a throw too. So good catch eventually in the end, and boundary awareness by Allen by Foster to get his feet and bounce there.
Yeah, and on this play, I think Foster's either wide receiver 3 or 4 on this play, especially if he's looking right side.
No
he's
doubt.
4. And that is just, again, I can't put enough emphasis on it, that getting to his 4th receiver within a 4-second frame, again, it's just stuff that you just didn't see a lot of, right? Look at that throw. That is what you call an NFL throw right there. What is that? That's 35 yards.
Yeah, it's nice.
It's a beautiful throw. You're right. He double catches it. If he doesn't double catch this and he catches it on stride, with his quick twitch ability, there's a chance he might be able to get up the sidelines a little bit here.
Yeah, I agree.
But he double catches it a little bit, falls out of bounds. Either way, I just love what you're seeing from Allen in terms of his eye manipulation, processing, because that was the word with him, right? He just doesn't have the ability to process. And what I keep going back to is that Rich Eisen show where I think it was Brinkus from ESPN, the sports science guy, and Trent Dilfer. And Dilfer talked about this, and he talked about accuracy in a vacuum, right? That completion percentage is such a crappy way. It's more of a team metric. It's an offensive metric than it is an individual metric. And I love that. And in this instance, he's talking about accuracy in a vacuum. And this is the type of throw where this isn't as accurate as it gets. And especially you're seeing on this play, that's a 7-iron. That isn't his driver, okay? Like, he's starting to learn how to use all the clubs in his bag, and this is a really good example of that.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, he's reading from his right to his left, scanning the field. He realizes the coverage he has now. There's no one open on that front side, so he comes to the backside and throws a dime. I mean, just good play all around from Allen. Again, they don't ask him to read the full field all the time, but when coverages change from pre to post snap, whether it be zone to man or 2 to 3, 1 versus 2 high, the quarterback has to be able to process that quickly and, push the ball down the field. That's the other thing. Like, the line gave him time to push the ball down the field, and he was able to drill the throw. Just beautiful play from beginning to end from Dable, Josh Allen, and Robert Foster. So with that, let's move on to the next play in the series. So we move on to the fourth quarter, Nate. 14 minutes, 2 seconds on the clock. 1st and 10 situation. Another empty set, which we love for the Bills. You're going to have 3 receivers and a bunch set to the top of the screen. You're going to have 2 receivers to the bottom. And Dable calls almost like a Mills concept here. So the top of the screen, you're going to have a deep in route or a deep dig. Deonte Thompson is going to run the deep post here. You're going to have a little chip and then release to the flats by the tight end here. And then to the bottom of the screen, the Bills put Robert Foster in a slot here, run a little high-low coverage. Again, if this were cover 2, this is another beautiful look here. But the defense is in quarters coverage. So they're pattern matching the routes here. And I just want to show how it breaks down real quick post-snap, because I think putting Robert Foster in a slot was beautiful because the guys to the top of the screen are all matching that's a 4-on-3, again, pattern matching coverage to the top of the screen. Putting Foster in the slot to the bottom, it really pulls this safety away from any type of 2 high set that they're going to be running there. You see a deep post by Foster, and he's using his eyes. Hey, I'm going to the corner, and he's going to take that safety with him. And of course, Nate, it opens up for Deonte Thompson from the condensed set versus Darius Slay. So I want you to talk about Allen's throw on this. Obviously, Thompson drops it, but Allen's decision-making from beginning to end, where his eyes are, and whether you consider this on Allen as an inaccurate pass or a pass that Deonte should have caught.
This play is a perfect example before we even get into Allen and Thompson and Foster and Darius Slay on this play. This is a perfect example of what life after Kelvin Benjamin has meant to this offense.
Good point.
Because now you look at on this, Robert Foster is dictating whether he's throwing at or away from him. He's dictating where the defense goes. And that is when Robert Foster is getting 25% of the snaps and Kelvin Benjamin's getting 68. You're not getting this type of manipulation by personnel. And this is personnel manipulation. That's all this is. Yep. He absolutely occupies that backside safety that opens up the post route over the top. And when you're looking at this play, I don't think it's an overly inaccurate throw. I believe that that's where you want it considering. And I think what he did smartly was read that front side safety. That front side safety took the dig route. He took the middle route on this play, right? So that opens up the middle of the field. That means you've got a 4-3 40 Darius Slay behind Deonte Thompson, who's no slump in the speed department either. Why not give him the field? Why not give him an opportunity to run away from the defender? I don't mind the throw at all. I think you could have even maybe put it out and shortened this up a little bit if you're Deonte Thompson. It's not perfect, but I certainly am not going to ding him or give him a negative grade on this because of the throw. I think he diagnoses this brilliantly again, and I think, again, this is just the post-Kelvin Benjamin effect that this offense is thriving without him.
No doubt about it. And you alluded to the fact that the safety jumps that dig route. That's quarters coverage. If that number 2 receiver goes vertical, that safety has to take him, and that's exactly what happened. So that's the Mills concept, the cover 4 beater that Dable set Allen up with here. And then, of course, I like the throw. I like when he throws it, too, because right when he throws it, you have Thompson. I mean, he's one-on-one with Slay, obviously, but you see Slay is on the upside shoulder, so he's got good leverage of this play. And when Allen throws it, he's going to throw it to the green. I think that's why it was a perfect throw, given the coverage here, because, again, they're matched up at 4-3 guys, right? They're both 4-3 guys. And Slay is he's probably a top 5 or 7 corner in the league, especially when you're talking man-to-man coverage. And I think Thompson kind of stumbles, too, when Slay disrupts him at the top and he breaks to the middle of the field there and looks up to the ball. But either way, I'm not dinging Josh Allen on this throw here, especially when you talk about him and how he's throwing it down the field here. So let's take a look at it, Nate, from the tight camera angle. because if you look quickly, you're going to see Allen slide to protection right there. He's letting his offensive line know that they're sliding to the right here. Why? Because he has no rusher here. The entire game, there had been 4 or 5 guys on the line of scrimmage trying to contain him to the pocket. Well, there's no one out here, so guess what? They can slide the protection to Josh Allen's right. They do exactly that. Then you're going to see him point out right there. He's pointing out the Will linebacker here. So if that Will, the guy that's off the screen there, the linebacker, ends up blitzing, that's Allen's guy that he has to take, and his throw has to account for. So everyone's sliding right. Allen's telling them, hey, I got the Will, and then he lets the play roll. And again, I just like his eye discipline here. Yes, he's trying to look to Robert Foster's side, and he's just diagnosing, looking at that linebacker. Is that guy blitzing? No, he's not blitzing. Okay, what's the safety doing? Now I'm looking to that backside safety. That backside safety is obviously jumping Robert Foster. So what am I going to do? I'm going to work that Mills concept to the right-hand side, and just another touch throw from Josh Allen on this play.
Yeah, again, I think if you look at this, I think it's this angle, I think maybe gives him a better gives him more credit for an accurate throw than the previous angle did, than the broadcast angle.
Sure.
The tight angle, this is a pretty damn well thrown ball, right? Like, that's really where you want it. I think you want it was a little deep, but I think you want your receiver to come down with this. I'd also like to have him hit it in stride. So it's not perfect, but I think it's absolutely catchable football. But you're right. I love that he basically understands once that safety moves forward to that dig route, that this is money. He understands right where that safety, when he realizes that to the left that Robert Foster's being bracketed over the top, I think where his eyes go next is that safety, and that's exactly where you want it to be. Even right here, if he sees him before the break, I think he understands that the post route is where he's going on this play, and his progression, his processing, again, just top notch on this play, and again, just development in that area has been, I can't really put into words how the development in that area has gotten so good in such a short period of time since his injury.
Yeah, it's a great play from him. Obviously, he had to know the coverage from pre to post snap. He processed it, and he knew exactly where he was going to go. His eyes, his feet brought him there, and now the throw, a little, it gets dropped, but I think it's still, a good pass that was dropped in there. But overall, I mean, when he was coming out, one of the things, his biggest thing aside from accuracy was processing pre to post snap and recognizing coverages. He did a lot of half-field reads at Wyoming. This is not one of those plays, and it shows when you watch the film. So, and another thing to add, everyone talks about completion percentage, Nate. Well, guess what? 8 of his passes were over 20 yards this game. He was 4 for 8, so he was 50% completion percentage on passes over 20 yards for 126 yards and 1 touchdown. Okay, so if he has this one back, I mean, how does that help his completion percentage? I mean, these are low percentage passes, but he's throwing out, several of these a game. And so that's going to affect your completion percentage, right? But that's his arm. That's what he does. That's how he threatens defenses. And you saw it pretty much every play here that he drops back to pass.
Eric, not only that, and if you really want to talk about this completion percentage thing that everyone seems to be talking about, is he's not an accurate passer. Just look at the numbers. This is a team that does not run screen passes. How many other teams across the league, how many other quarterbacks are benefiting from throwing 5, 7, 8 screen passes a game, where that is easy money? You're completing 7 of 8 of those balls. What does that do? That inflates your completion percentage. Right now, this offense isn't operating in a scheme that's inflating the quarterback's completion percentage. They are throwing the ball downfield more efficiently than I would say than half the league, right? This is an offense that's operating in the 20-plus realm, where 85% of the league is occupying that 20, the minus that realm. You know what I mean? So this is a team that isn't going. It's going a little bit against conventional wisdom of what.
No doubt about it.
There are a ton of teams that are running these vertical sets, this air raid offense. They're running those
underneath stuff. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. I mean, for the last few years, everyone's, the quarterbacks have lived in that 0 to 9 range. Well, guess what? I think it's starting to come back, where now teams are starting to push the ball down the field. I mean, obviously led by Patrick Mahomes, and so Josh Allen has the arm to threaten, just like Patrick Mahomes. Now he may not be as accurate as Patrick Mahomes, but he's got the same skill set and almost the same mentality of wanting to push the ball down the field, wanting to read from high to low, not just take that 4-yard out or check down. He wants to push it down the field, and that is really, I think, what's going to be the future of the offense, especially when you start adding these speed receivers coming out of college who are not the most nuanced route runners and not top-notch players quite yet, that usually take a few years to develop. getting guys that can get down the field like Deonte Thompson, Isaiah McKenzie, Robert Foster has made a difference for Josh Allen. So with that, we'll go ahead and move on to the next play. All right, so fourth quarter still 13:54, 2nd and 10 here, Nate. We're going to run another similar air raid concept known as Y cross, but instead of having the tight end run that Y cross, you're going to have Isaiah McKenzie running that deep over route. And you see the 1-2-3 there, and that's typically the read progression for the quarterback, but it's different now. We talk about Allen and wanting to push the ball down the field. I'd say the first route is going to be Robert Foster. It's not going to be that Y cross. It's going to be Robert Foster 1, Isaiah McKenzie 2, and then you're going to have Zay Jones running that deep dig route on the back end here, who Allen tries to hit. And it's not Allen's best throw, but I think it's a play that Zay probably should have made. So here's the route concept. Again, it's a really good concept, whether it's cover 2 or cover 3. If it's cover 3 with a single high safety look, you got 2 crossing routes that are going to undercut that deep safety. If it's cover 2, you have a high low on this crossing route, and then the running back coming out of the flat on the backside there. So that's a high low that corner. If it's a man coverage, you're having that crossing route by McKenzie, a speed receiver versus a slot corner. I mean, there's so much going on this play from this empty set, Nate. But you're going to see as I let it roll here, Allen looks to 1. He looks to Foster to the bottom of his screen here. And, I mean, again, we talk about respect, right? They're respecting Robert Foster for a reason. I mean, look at the safety. He's not even trying to be the deep safety in the middle of the field. He's immediately going to help out on Foster.
Yeah, and again, this is just, it goes into just the progression you've seen from Robert Foster. But again, eye manipulation, he looks immediately off the snap of the ball right at Robert Foster.
Yep.
That forces that safety to respect this play and to get over the top.
Yep.
But for the folks that say, we're only breaking down Allen's best plays and we're not being objective enough in this situation. Well, this is a play here where I think Josh Allen could have thrown the ball a little bit more in front of and given his wide receiver an opportunity to catch this ball and potentially run with it. Instead, he's forced to go high, which leaves him a little bit vulnerable to a hit from behind as well. Yep. So it's not the ball that you want to see on this play, but what you do like to see is the recognition, understanding that with that safety just blatantly going over the top. And this is something that he recognizes. This isn't something that happens by happenstance. He doesn't get to Zay Jones on accident. He gets to Zay Jones because that's what the defense tells him to do. Yep. And that is something that I think even in a negative play like this, where you don't get the most accurate throw, is something you can take away and say, you know what, I can still give a somewhat positive grade on this play, right, albeit an inaccurate throw, because he does everything else right on this play except for complete the pass. And in college, when you're looking back at the Wyoming film, you're looking back at plays and scenarios and offensive structures where you're just like, man, almost everything but his footwork here is wrong. His progression's wrong. Where his landmarks are wrong. And now you're starting to see everything. This is a perfect example, I think, too, of the game slowing down in front of Allen and in his mind and being able to progress and read what a defense is trying to do against him and understanding where the ball needs to go based on what the defense is doing, not where he wants to throw or not trying to force the throw. Yeah. So everything else in this play except for the throw checks off, and I think that has to be something you take away as a positive from this game and moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, and you see it from the tight camera angle. I talk about how Dable gives him several options on this play based on what the defense has given him post-snap. And initially he looks to his left. He's going to read on Foster here. And again, then he goes and heads and looks at that safety, and that safety, you can't see him on the screen anymore, but he's bailing right to Foster. So the number one in this read is out. So now number 2 is coming across the screen right into his view, right? It's going to be Isaiah McKenzie. He gets held a little bit, but that guy's not open. You see the corner kind of get into his hip pocket right there. That guy's not open. So what? Allen doesn't waste his time, right? He's looking at him now. The spy's right there underneath. He's not throwing to him. Now he's going backside. So he's getting his feet in position. Even with that little pump fake, he's getting his feet in position. His eyes are matching his feet. And then, this is the difference between general accuracy and placement. And, most quarterbacks that have really good placements, the Bradys, the Breezes, those guys top of the league, they're going to nail this play. They're going to hands down nail this play. But this is not Allen's forte. The ball's a little high and a little hot, and I would say the reason why is because of this right here, this back foot. He leaves it out there. He doesn't follow through with it. You see that right there? He should be that right foot should be just about even, if not following through on that throw there. He kind of leaves it back there, right, Nate?
And you know what the difference is between Brady's and the Rivers, who have repped this exact play thousands of times, where this play has been repped by Josh Allen probably 50 times, right? Like, so there is such a big difference of when this play is repped over and over and over again by your quarterback. He's going to have an understanding of, on certain plays, he's going to need to put it here based on what the defender's doing. You're absolutely right about general accuracy and ball placement. This isn't a generally speaking, the throw is fine, right? Like, it's where you want it to be. It's just the ball placement. Yeah. Where if he's got an AJ Green in this situation, is he making that catch? It's probably. But again, you'd like to see him maybe hit him more towards the numbers and have him lead into this. And this is a throw that, if it was me, I'm actually taking a little off of. And what I'm doing is putting a better trajectory on this ball, maybe more of a floating situation. Look at the green space you just highlighted available for him.
Yeah.
Why not take a little off that ball and let him run into this throw instead of him having to go up and find the ball at its highest point?
No doubt.
Don't let him have to do that. Let the highest point let the nose of the football be coming downward towards his hands. And I think this is an easy completion, and he's probably got room to run. I mean, you're talking about Isaiah McKenzie here, or someone with some serious speed. You know, if he takes this off and puts a 2 trajectory on this, a middle, intermediate trajectory on this, I mean, you're talking about a big, big play.
Yeah, and it's one of those things, like, he did a great job of working pre to post snap, working the progression, putting his feet and eyes in the right spot. But when you see, and he reads plays like these, and he gets that second, third, or fourth option, sometimes he gets a little excited, right? Mm-hmm. He gets a little excited. He's like, oh man, I made it here. Now I just have to stick the throw, and he doesn't here. And I like what you said about how many times, veteran quarterbacks maybe rep this, because there's muscle memory. We talk about muscle memory a lot. There's muscle memory from the shoulders up, his brain, how he's processing, which he did really well on this play. But then there's that muscle memory with his body, his mechanics. And that's something that obviously he struggled with coming from high school to college into the pros still. He has his moments, he has his lapses, and that muscle memory wasn't quite right here on this play, but his intentions were there. And he saw the field really well. He just needs to nail down and stick that throw. So again, another good play, beginning to end, but this one was slightly off when we talk about ball placement. All right, fourth quarter, we're going to go on to and break down the Robert Foster touchdown. 10:51 on the clock, 1st and 15. And 1st and 15, 1st and long, you're going to get that empty set, Nate, right? And so the Bills run a similar play to earlier where they ran that Mills concept. So you're going to have that deep dig, you're going to have that deep post, and then you're going to have a little mesh like we talked about earlier as well, that air raid mesh from a condensed set that Robert Foster does a great job of setting up in the end, and we'll break that down for you here. So on the snap, what I want to take a look at, Nate, is obviously how that deep safety, again, is shaded to Robert Foster, but the 2 routes by McKenzie and Robert Foster, and how they attack vertically, but they attack right at the safety, right? The guy that is shaded to Foster's side, they really put him in a bind.
Yeah, I mean, they conflicted that deep safety all game
all day
long. And it's so funny that all game, that safety was probably coached, go with Robert Foster. And on this play, he decides, and we saw it in multiple scenarios, he just cheated over to wherever Robert Foster's going on this play.
Yep.
I think maybe he is conflicted on who the guy coming to him is, right? I think he probably thinks this is Robert Foster, but Robert Foster does such a good job of using his own player's stem to create separation. And what I mean by that is, if you watch here, when he crosses his teammate underneath, that defender is forced to really stop on this play because he can't run into the wide receiver or his own defender, his teammate on this play. So he creates his separation by understanding, again, you're talking about nuanced route running. That is a nuanced route. He understands that he's going to conflict that defender just by cutting underneath, and obviously he does the rest on this play. But a beautiful touch throw by Josh Allen, again, finding Robert Foster in the open area. He's got that cornerback who realizes, well, my player just got beat. I better run deep. Or is that corner, or is that a linebacker? Either way.
That fell?
No, that's closer to the wide receiver near the sidelines. It's in between Foster and the. I don't know what that. I think that might be their outside linebacker.
Yeah.
Either way, I think they realized pretty late that it was a blown coverage in this specific instance because of what they were able to do. I love that what you're talking about in terms of pushing the defense and pushing the safety vertically right up the seam. Both of them are running directly at him. He's got to choose on this play who he's covering, and whoever he picks, Josh Allen should be able to figure it out and make a play.
It's great because, they really put that safety in conflict all game. But, I mean, just think about a few plays ago where Foster ran that deep crossing route on a similar concept, and now it's McKenzie, and he kind of flattens it out right here, right? So that safety is thinking, they threw it last time to that deep crossing route on top there to Foster. Well, this time, Foster just is on the backside of this Mills concept, running that deep post route. And what I love about this play is the condensed set. First of all, it puts that corner in an off coverage. So it's going to put him in off coverage, and then it's going to allow a clean release for Robert Foster, but then it's going to allow Foster to kind of tempo his route down. And route running, we talk about pace a route. You don't want to run a route full speed all the time. You want to change the speed of your route to help not only break free from a defender and fool him, but to pace this route properly to get this mesh, to get this little disruption in traffic there for Foster as he breaks away, snaps his head around, and of course Josh Allen drops a dime in there. And this is not an easy catch because it's obviously pushed down the field vertically, but it does have a little zip on it, and it's tough because Foster has to track the ball and adjust and catch it, basket catch it, and know where the sideline is at top full speed. I mean, this guy's flying right now, and he has the ability to have his eyes up, catch the ball, and then have an awareness of the sideline to get upfield to get into the end zone.
Yeah, absolutely. I think from the tight angle here too, you'll get even a little bit more of a better appreciation of what Allen does on this play. Again, it's just recognizing it quickly, getting rid of it, and he's got an immediate defender in his face. This is something, again, another growth play that I think you can show. I mean, that's snacks. You're talking about a really good interior defender.
Yeah.
Breaking the face of his offensive lineman, and it doesn't matter. And again, I think you can see the touch that he puts on this throw. Again, this goes into the accuracy bucket. Something where you can look back and say, here's the growth. If people want to say Josh Allen's a bad thrower, a bad passer, and I don't understand that narrative any longer. And even to a certain extent, there is a big difference between being a thrower and being a passer of the football, because Josh Allen is an elite thrower of the football. There are very few guys in the league that can put the ball in the places that Josh Allen can. As a nuanced passer, sure, lots of growth, but he's showing growth as a passer, and this is a picture perfect. So if you're listening to this film breakdown, and you want to pull up a video or an example of the internet troll saying Josh Allen can't throw the football, this is one you pull up and you put on repeat.
Yeah, no doubt about it. It's a beautiful setup, and obviously the execution is money. I mean, if you're going to give him time to sit in the pocket like that, you're in trouble because they're adding speed. They added speed this year, and they're going to be adding more speed. So if you're going to give him time in the pocket, if you're going to play coverage, make him play from the pocket, good luck trying to cover down the field against these speed receivers who can uncover, under the design of the play or outside of the play in a scramble drill. Go ahead and try to cover guys like Robert Foster, for several seconds. I mean, it's going to be very tough when you have a guy with an arm like Josh Allen. So give me your overall thoughts on this game. I mean, was this his best game of the year? If so, why? And what are you looking forward to now, the last couple of games of the season?
So this was the first game that I missed live in roughly like 15, 16 years. And I was happy about it because I got to pull myself away from the actual game while it was happening. Excuse me. And when I rewatched it, I started to put together some of the narratives that were being talked about after the game. And I really agree that this probably, in terms of a pocket passer, was his most prolific game as in terms of a pocket passer. Again, I keep going back to, yes, he's at 200-something yards. He's not at the 250, 300-yard marks like most people use as benchmarks for elite or at least NFL level passers.
Yeah.
But I think he's starting to thrive in the areas of the intermediate and 20-plus throws that guys take years to really feel comfortable throwing those, right? Like a guy that comes in the league, a young player, is going to check the ball down a ton. Josh isn't doing that. So you sprinkle in 2 or 3, 4 more checkdowns during the course of the game. You sprinkle in 3 or 4 or 5 more, screen passes in the game. You sprinkle in 2 or 3 more bubble screens to wide receivers in a game. All of a sudden, you're talking about 8 completions in a football game that weren't there prior. And I think you have to use that context, that understanding that there is a large portion of this playbook that Brian Daboll hasn't been able to run because of the limitations up front on the offensive line.
Right.
Once that gets figured out and Brian Daboll's offense opens up, not only that, but year 2 of Brian Daboll's offense for Josh Allen, I think you're going to see concepts that you start to see that are built off these. You're going to start to see high-lows that have more than just 2 basic high-low concepts, right? Like you're going to see stuff get built on in year 2. That's what excites me. What excites me the last 2 weeks, Eric, is just his continued growth. He's now put together 4 or 5 football games where you're saying, I'm seeing a blueprint here. And you just didn't see that at the beginning of the year. And we kept going back to that Green Bay game in our last session, I should say.
Yeah.
And he has yet to follow up one of these games with a game where you're like, man, does this kid belong in the NFL? And that has to feel really good if you're a Bills fan, and more importantly, for an evaluator that had really negative marks on him coming out, feeling like he's doing the things that you wondered and questioned about him going into the league, and he's doing them regularly.
Yeah, no doubt about it. You know, he's progressed from college to the NFL. He's progressed from, his first start to now. And I think the staff is recognizing that. And you can see in some of the concepts they're calling, they're giving him options, and he's nailing down those options. He's nailing down those throws. The completion percentage narrative, I'm not all about that. Obviously, we break down plays pretty much every single day. And so I live in a play-by-play basis. I don't look at the overall completion percentage at the end of the game or adjusted completion percentage. I want to know if Allen is progressing mentally, because we know he has arm talent and we know even some of his struggles and what he can't do. But I want to see him progress mentally from the shoulders up. And I'm sorry, if you're watching his film from the beginning of the year to this year, I don't know how you can say that he has not progressed and he's not improved. I'll bang the table for that, because he has downright done that. Beginning of the year, Daboll was not running these concepts for him. I mean, you talk about building up the offense. I mean, he's built up the offense in such a short amount of time, just in the last few weeks. And I think McDermott alluded to that in his press conference the other day. He talked about how he watched the Finns game, and it's a game we love from him, especially when we talk about situational football. And as a playmaker, he had it all. But in this game, it was more from the pocket. They didn't let him just run around. So he had to make his plays from the shoulder up. And, and we see a play like that, got away from him a little bit, but from the shoulder up, he nailed it. So I see progress. And that's all I wanted to see from Allen, especially considering how I didn't expect him to get as much playing time this early in his career. And I didn't expect him to have no running game or an offensive line that was as bad as it is. So with all things considered, I don't know how you can look at his film in totality and say that he hasn't improved and he hasn't been better than expected. And for Bills fans, that should excite them. It should excite them from year 1 to year 2 and what this team can do by adding more weapons on the offensive side of the ball, and just from him seeing film, stepping back like he did those last few weeks when he was injured, and seeing what he can progress and improve on from there, because the film doesn't lie, and he's doing a good job on the field and off the field. So with that said, we appreciate you joining us in this film room. We'll have another one for you next week. And I'm Eric Turner from Cover One. This is Nate Geary from WGR. Nate, where can they find you, buddy?
At Nate Geary WGR on Twitter. And now with my new job, I have afternoon time to troll you back on Twitter. So if you're coming back, if you're coming at with bad takes, I've got the afternoon to prove you wrong. So that's right. On Twitter at Nate Geary WGR.
Yeah, and you know what? They're probably not listening to you right now because this would be too much truth for them. But
That's
guess what?
correct.
All right, Nate. Thanks for joining me, man. Take care.
No problem, brother.